Hello, my name is Bruce Miller, and I'm with RIMtech Consulting. I'm here to talk briefly today about our course EDRMS Deployment for Microsoft SharePoint Deep Dive. So what does a deep dive means? Well, it means that there's a prerequisite. You mustn't take this course unless you take one of our other courses called a foundation course. Each of our foundation courses has fully 50% or the first half, the morning of the course, is dealing with EDRMS fundamentals such as the concepts, the methods, and the techniques of electronic record keeping, the language, the numbers, the approach, the SharePoint information architecture, and so forth. So it would be pretty much impossible to fully grasp what we're doing in this course unless you take the fundamental course first. So please, please, please do not take this course unless you've taken one of our other courses that contains the fundamentals, okay? That would be really, really important. So this is a one-day virtual course, and it's vendor neutral in that there are 5 software products available for managing records in SharePoint, 5. And it doesn't matter which of the 5 you use. Anything you learn in this course is equally applicable to any of the 5. And for that matter, if you don't know which one you're going to use, that's okay too. It doesn't really matter, okay? It's very vendor neutral. So as it turns out, regardless of which of the 5 products you use, any modern EDRMS for SharePoint has 6 steps. And those 6 steps are generally consisting of about 35 or so tasks, but it's important that you know what those 6 steps are. And the 6 steps have to be done in order. There's no negotiating the order of them, okay? In high-level form, here's what they are. Number 1 is the retention schedule. Now, keep in mind that any EDRMS project consists of 3 components: a retention schedule, the record software, and SharePoint. You have to make all 3 work together in concert. It's not for the faint of heart, believe me. So, first step is to define the retention schedule, and the retention schedule is going to have to change most likely in order to be machine readable for the record software. So in step 1, you define it. Sometimes you might just adjust your existing retention schedule. Sometimes you might throw it away and start from scratch. Doesn't matter. In step 2, you have to generate it in a machine readable format. And then in number 3, you load it into your record software. But notice at this point, we haven't even touched SharePoint. So now in SharePoint, where are the records going to go? What libraries do you have? How many? What are they going to be called? What metadata do we need? That's called the SharePoint information architecture. So in step 4, we'll define it. Define it means put it in a spreadsheet, every last minuscule detail. And then in step 5, we will deploy it. In other words, take it from the spreadsheet, build it in SharePoint, build it out, as we like to say. Only then can you do step 6. Step 6, you finally get to use the records management software to automate the record-keeping processes. In any EDRMS setting, it will not be successful unless you automate record keeping, okay? If the end users are involved, it will fail. Hence, it must be fully automated. So in step 6, we do that, but you cannot do step 6 until you're finished 1 through 5, fully finished and fully tested, okay? So it's a fairly arduous process that you have to go through, these 6 steps, and it can take many years and hundreds of thousands of dollars. What we're going to show you is a way to compress that timeline quite a bit, okay? We'll teach you the 6-step methodology, and we'll teach you the order in which it's done, and we'll introduce you to a special tool called the Catalyst Information Governance Tools. It's a set of tools that allow you to take step 5, which in and of itself can take years, and compress it down to days or weeks, okay? Save a lot of time and a lot of money. We'll talk about incremental deployments. There are 2 ways to deploy an EDRMS. Number 1 is big bang, the entire organization in one go. That's beautiful, but rare. It only works if you're anywhere from 1 to 200 or 300 people at most. If you're above that size, you're not going to do this. You just are not. You're going to do incremental deployments, which means you deploy a department or 2, and then you deploy the next department as a layer on top of the previous deployments. That's what we call incremental deployment, and it's laced with tricky business. So we have to learn how to deal with that. And we'll cover the permissions, which is who can access what records. So quite a bit to cover in this course. That's why we call it a deep dive. It's very detailed, but I think you'll like it. And it is applicable for either IT people or records people. Ideally, both should take it, really. It is fairly technical. Metadata can get rather technical at times, but there's no avoiding it. So that's it. And in the description below, you'll find 3 links. The first one is a link to a document where you can get more details on this course. The second is a link to our schedule of all our courses. And the third is a link to register for this particular course. Thank you.